Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast with Ani and Brian. Join us as we explore the art and science of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools to strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional. Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you'll understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence. If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. I'm Ani Anderson.
And I'm Brian Trzaskos. And today we're going to dig deep into the idea of coaching skills.
Yeah. So last time, Brian, on our first episode, we were talking about how we got into the personal development space and we were like, hey guys, we're here. And you know what we know to be true, that the body is the mind, and the subconscious is your body is the subconscious mind. And we kept like bumping up against this thing where people didn't know what we were talking about. Like they might think to themselves or say to us something like, oh, I believe that the body is important, or I believe about the body mind connection, which we'll have to talk about that in another episode because that's not how we talk about it. But anywho, people didn't understand actually that the reason that folks weren't meeting their goals, the reason that people were struggling or in resistance on the way to their goals had anything to do with the body. Like sometimes people would kind of understand that there was an emotional component.
Yeah, right.
Right. Which I'm like tongue in cheek here because the emotions have something to do with the body too. But anyway, it was really interesting to get into that personal development space.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
And a lot of coaches are either overtly taught not to deal with people's emotions, right? Just keep it totally intellectual, or they don't want to deal with people's emotions. So they try to keep it totally intellectual.
Yeah.
But the problem is that's not how humans are built.
That's true. Actually, I remember when I was in coaching school, they would be like, so you ask your client about their emotions, and then in the next breath, they'd be like, and we don't do emotions because emotions are therapy. And so I remember being in the classroom and whispering back and forth to my peers, like, what do we do about that? Like, how do you reconcile that? And of course, as a somatic coach, so I was already doing somatic coaching by the time I was in coach training. I knew the answer, but I could see everybody kind of struggling and grappling with that. Brian, when we first got into the coaching space and we were getting coaching, our mentors were awesome, by the way, and we learned so much from them. We also heard a lot of like, push through, just do it, right? Kinds of things. We heard a lot of, I hate to say it, but it's true. We literally heard vomit and then go do the thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember standing in the hotel where a number of people were staying when we were in a coaching engagement, getting coached ourselves. And some of our colleagues were talking about how they were going to puke and do the thing, and hearing that there's a place in my heart because I know that that's not trauma informed, and I know there's a better way, and that to treat ourselves like that and to think like that about ourselves, it just kind of breaks my heart when that's where we're coming from. I mean, professionally, because coaches just don't have this, they're not taught the skills in most coaching programs to know any better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we just kind of back up for just a moment, I mean, as coaches, we know that the subconscious mind is 95% of our mind power. And that a core element of the subconscious mind is to actually keep us safe. That's what the subconscious mind is really doing. And so in the way of keeping us safe, it stops us from creating change, even if that change is something we really, really, really want. And so what Ani's saying is that when we force ourselves to do something, we force ourselves to change with our conscious mind, the subconscious creates a lot of resistance to doing that. And that resistance shows up in our body as vomiting, as having all kinds of internal distress, as having chronic pain, as having all those things. And most people don't realize that those are actually signs of resistance. right? What your body is telling you. And most people don't understand how to read. And most people don't have the coaching skills to basically decode what your body's telling you.
Yeah, well, you don't learn that in coaching
Right.
school.
But you learn it in somatic coaching school.
Exactly, because regular coaching schools are primarily intellectually based, where, I mean, I can't speak for other somatic coach training programs, but in our somatic coach training program, we teach you how to use a complete intelligence, complete human intelligence. We teach you how to understand that the body is speaking to you and you can also speak with the body. I think one of the interesting things about this is we have people ask us all the time, I'm already a coach. I'm interested in what you're doing, but I mean, do I really need to take another coach training program? I'm already a coach. But the thing that we see all the time is that because coaches weren't trained to talk to their body and understand how and decode, like Brian was saying, how your body is talking to you, just because you're a coach doesn't mean you have the coaching skills to do somatic work, to do somatic coaching. And I'll just add this too, Brian. You know, we have really, sometimes we have incredibly highly educated folks come and talk to us about joining our programs. And these are people who are already manual therapists, massage therapists, coaches, meditation folks, breath work people, like all of those kinds of things. But still, to put all the pieces together, right, in succinct processes so that you can access somebody's body intelligence is a totally different story.
Yeah. And to have the coaching skills to do that really safely for people so that people are not, their bodies are not breaking down. And we had a lot of early experiences with watching other coaches coach their clients and to, let's say, make $1 million or something like that. Let's say that was the coaching goal. And so they're pushing. The client makes $1 million. Yay. And then next month, they completely have a health crisis. And that $1 million vanishes because of the breakdown. And that's basically the subconscious mind creating all this resistance to that change or that experience. And at that point, it's like, oh, well, I helped you make your $1 million. Good luck with your health crisis. And off you go.
And not just health crises, because that's one way it shows up, but also like emotional crises, right? Where people end up destroying relationships, not just leaving relationships, but like destroying relationships. And there's a path of destruction along the way. And when you understand somatic coaching skills, it doesn't have to be like that.
Exactly.
So we like to say with people who join our program, people either join because they have their own like personal journey they want to be on, or they really want to develop these skills so they can serve clients more deeply. The interesting thing is that when people are on program with us, they do both. They always do both. So they walk this wonderful, all of our clients love it, our students love it. They walk this wonderful, like personal journey and learning skills along the way that they'll use with their clients, and or learning the skills that they think they're learning for their clients and they end up using them for themselves. And you can't get away from that, right? Like we all love this stuff. We're learning it. We love it. We want to share it with others. And there's skills that, yes, we want to bring to other people. We also want to use them to impact our own lives.
Yeah. And there is a little bit of truth in that one state. There's a statement that says the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And there is some truth in that. And what Ani's saying is that when a person is having challenges in their personal experience, that's going to show up in their professional experience. And when they have challenges in their professional experience, it's going to show up somehow in their personal experience. Maybe not to the same degree, but oftentimes it's the same limiting challenge or limiting belief or limiting pattern, however you want to talk about it, that is creating the results in both of those places.
100%. I remember one of our students, Judy, she was interested in joining our program. And I mean, for her, she felt like it was more like a calling. And we do hear this from people, like, I really want to learn the somatic work. And Judy loves to be an expert.
Yep.
So she wants to know all the things. She wants to know all the things. And what Judy really wasn't like completely understanding when she joined the program, and this happens a lot, like there were personal goals in her life that she really wasn't getting to. What she did know is she was overwhelmed. And what she did know is she was overworked.
Yeah.
And she did know that she didn't love her day job.
Yep.
And she did know that she was having some problems with her relationship. And she did know she wasn't totally excited about where she was living, but it wasn't like these things were like front burner for her,
Yeah.
by the way. They were things that like, they were desires. They were in her heart. They were the things that she thought about at night when she was falling asleep,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
a lot of times, like, that's life, right? It's
Yeah.
like, I'm supposed to not be totally happy with my relationship. I'm supposed to not be totally happy with my work. I'm like, that's just life. I guess I'll deal with it. And that's like a common drumbeat for people until they get to a point where it's like, wait a second, like, I do want something different and I do actually deserve something different. Like, you have to just pop over that threshold just a little bit. Like, I think we were talking about in our last podcast episode, kind of like I had an experience in the clinic where I was like, I never want that to happen again. And that's what pushed me over the edge to kind of like say this, I've got to make a change really in this case. And so same thing kind of for Judy, got to a point where she's like, wait, maybe there actually is something better that I can step into if I can figure out how to do that.
You know what it was for Judy though, Brian? She had already signed up to be a student with us. She was already
Mm,
studying with us, and she wasn't able to completely attend to classes and really be present.
mm,
She was running late. She needed to leave early. She had other things she was doing while she was in class. And she was like, what's up? This isn't how I want to live my life.
mm. Yeah.
But at the time, I mean, she was a proficient coach, by the way. She just didn't have the somatic skills to really tap into what was going on in her with her body. And by the way, she wasn't having like overt body symptomology.
Mm,
She was overwhelmed.
yeah.
And so we ask the question that we teach our students how not only to ask, but to follow up on. Where in your body do you feel it and what does it feel like? Which is this beginning dialogue with the
Mhm.
body, right?
Yep.
And so Judy started having this beginning dialogue with her body because she was frustrated about the fact that she was missing something. There was something going on. She was really interested in it. She like wasn't fully present.
Mm. Yeah, and I'll also just, if I can just put a pin in that for a second, take a little sidebar. It's Think about how many times that you've been in programs with people or you've been facilitating a program with people and someone is just not showing up. And it's so traditional to think from a coaching perspective, kind of like, or an instructor perspective, like, what's wrong with this person? They just can't show up. They're lazy, they're whatever it is. What we know absolutely, and with Judy and with all other students, is that when that stuff starts happening, that's resistance. That's a sign that the subconscious is resisting a change, which actually means we're pointed in the right direction for that person to create the change they need to create. So the way that we engage with people with coaching skills, we can help people then overcome that resistance.
And traditionally, what happens in the coaching space when this is happening, by the way, is that clients get labeled as uncoachable.
Right. Yep.
Not true. We just don't have the skills when you don't know the somatic skills to be able to enter into a really profoundly helpful conversation. I'm using that word on purpose because sometimes what happens, Brian, back to that therapy kind of, is these people are seen as you need therapy first.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
So first of all, we lose a client. Second of all, what does that do to the client? Right? How they think about themselves. I'm not even ready for coaching. I'm not even coachable. I need therapy. What
Yeah,
this is
right.
telling somebody is I'm broken. And it's not true. It's just that the practitioner doesn't have the skill base to be able to, again, have a conversation with the person's body so that they can find the helpfulness, because helpfulness always exists. And that's what we found with Judy.
Yeah.
Health and helpfulness always exists. So we started talking to Judy's body. Where in your body do you feel it? What does it feel like? And the cool thing was Judy started to take a stand for the things she wanted in her life.
Yeah.
And she did so rather quickly and swiftly because she had the skills to be able to overcome her resistance. She didn't even completely know she was in resistance. That's certainly not why she joined us as a student. Right?
Mm.
But it came up for her. And now what she's doing is she's not only using somatic skills in her practice. Well, she left her job. She has a new place to live. Like the relationship things ironed out, like all of that stuff happened. And she's shifting and changing the way she interacts with her clients because she sees the profound nature
Yep.
of the somatic coaching skills, being able to help people see resistance that's in front of them that they can't even see, move through and live life in a way that feels completely different than the life that Judy was living before. And that was really the key. Her life feels different.
Yeah. And so just to kind of, back up for just a moment here, what we know about the Somatic Coaching Academy, the work we would do with people. And honestly, I don't know what other happens in other somatic coach training programs. I know it happens deeply in ours, but here's the deal. So Judy, unhappy, not like terrible, just like meh.
It was fine.
Like meh, like life's fine sort of thing, but not like thriving in life. And so you can only go on so far like that. So Judy finds her way to us, starts working with us. Her own resistance starts to show up. She realizes, oh, that's resistance. I'm not broken. My subconscious is working perfectly. That's how my resistance shows up. Let's start doing the coaching skills, right? Teaching the applying somatic coaching skills on her own process. Her own life changes pretty dramatically in really amazing ways. All of a sudden, she's got a big smile on her face. She's lighter. She's present. She's engaged. And we're like, wow, look at her changing, like as we're going through the course of the program. And then she can masterfully turn around and use those skills with her clients to create the same change. As a somatic coaching professional, I'm going to hang on to this one, Ani, like this understanding that you really cannot do masterful somatic coaching with a client until you have actually proven it on yourself. And that's baked into the work we do at the Somatic Coaching Academy. Like you really have to go through that process to understand how to become aware of, decode, modify, and reframe your own sensory system in a way where you can create a change repeatably every time for yourself, and then be able to apply that in working with other people.
So become aware of, and that's something we all know, right? We see it on Instagram. You can't change something you're not aware of. You can't change something you're not aware of. We have stuff that happens in our body. Our bodies talk to us through body symptomology, aches, pains, pleasures, emotions, every day, all the time. If we're not aware of those body sensations, if we're not aware that they mean anything, if we're not aware that we can decode them, if we're not aware that we can do anything about it, right? Then we don't have the awareness and we can't change anything. So there's intelligence right there waiting for us to tap into it. And that's why coaches, highly trained coaches, come to study with us, because it's the somatic coaching skills that are the delineator, and you're not going to learn it anywhere else.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, we think our body is doing something to us.
Or we're not even aware of it because we're so used to it.
We're not even aware of what's really going on, the whispers from the body, right? I mean, so I don't know. I never really thought of us as body whisperers before. I'm not sure
I've definitely been called that.
But because it's not that it's not really like that fanciful or magical to me. I mean, the results are always really magical and cool, but it's a process. It's literally when you go through a process, you get consistent results every single time.
It's very practical.
It's very, very practical.
And simple. It's really practical. It's really simple. And listen, this is what we're going to be talking about more on the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast.
Yep.
So if this is exciting, this is an exciting conversation for you, if you want to know more, keep listening, because we can talk about this stuff all day, and we will. There are so many different ways to enter into this conversation. We can enter into it professionally. We can enter into it personally. We can talk about relationships and health and money and all these different ways. And they still distill down to these really simple, practical, profound, and cutting edge topics and skills. So, hey, if you think this is cool, so do we. Keep hanging out, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself. Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.